Hello and welcome to episode number 107 of the Cheesesteaks and Controllers podcast, presented by Fox PHL The Gambler, 102.5 FM, 1480 AM, iHeartRadio, and all of your streaming services. Wherever you're hearing my voice right now, I really do appreciate that you're here. My name is Jason Finelli, and I am the esports and gaming insider for Fox Sports The Gambler here in Philadelphia. And ladies and gentlemen, it is EVO season. EVO 22, EVO, the biggest fighting game tournament on the planet for my money, is finally back after a pandemic, 3 years away. Tried some online stuff. That didn't really work for multiple reasons, which we'll get into. I could not talk about this momentous occasion alone, so I have brought in a pair of ringers, a pair of games media pals that not only share the same passion for fighting games in EVO that I do, they take it one step further. They're both going and they're both competing. So we're going to get a competitor's edge here. I'm not going to make you give up any strategies, of course, but we will talk about everything that there is to do with EVO for the next hour. So if you like your fighting games, this is the place to be. First and foremost, friend of the show, a returning guest, is the founder and host of Spawn on Me. If you're not listening to that podcast yet, what's wrong with you? This is Kahlief Adams. Kahlief, how you doing, man?
Thank you, fam, for having me. Excited to be rocking with y'all, talking about fighting games and EVO and everything in between. So excited to finally jump on the cast again and rock with you.
Yeah, I think the last time we had you on, it was the day EVO was bought, because I was trying to find someone real fast to talk about it, and you just happened to be online. So I said, hey, can you meet up tonight? And it was that quick. I really appreciate that.
The 360 on EVO, we're closing the circle. So
yes, this is it. Full circle. But again, I could not, Ka, as much as I like Ka, I needed one more voice out there, and who better than someone he may face in the pools of Mortal Kombat 11. Again, we'll get to that. He is the senior editorial producer at IGN, only the biggest site on the planet. This is Mitchell Saltzman. Mitchell, how are you?
Hey, what's up? Thanks for having me. I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Feeling good, man. I'm infinitely jealous because of the three of us, I'm the only one who will not be traveling to Vegas for EVO. I'll be watching the streams and hoping to see you both kick some butt. First, I want to talk about how we got to this point. EVO, obviously affected by the pandemic like everybody else, has not been live in person since 2019, but it is a completely different EVO in those 3 years between then and now. New ownership in PlayStation and Pokemon.
Can't forget Pokemon.
Can't forget Pokemon. She brought the water. She's important. A new slate of games, both returning and brand new. It feels the same, but I don't know if it's going to be the same. Kahlief, I'll start with you. What is it that you're expecting? Have you been to EVO before, first of all?
No, this is my first EVO. So I am even more excited about going because it's the first time getting a chance to go after watching it for years at this point on stream. I'm just like blown away at the fact that this is going to happen now. Like it has felt like there was a very, very big missing element to all of EVO when they had it online and had all those kind of missteps because of the online layers of it. And now that folks are going to have butts and seats and they're going to actually go and play in person. Oh man, that energy is just going to be wild in that place on Sunday for the finals and everything. I'm just so excited for that, for sure.
Now, have you competed in a fighting game tournament before at all?
No.
So this is right into the fire.
I'm going big. I'm gonna go play in the first tournament is gonna be EVO. I'm playing a game that I have not touched in about 8 months.
You're just you're putting every hurdle in front of yourself and seeing how many you can clear.
It's gonna make the championship story so much better once I take it home.
Holding that trophy on Saturday afternoon. I think Saturday.
Saturday, Sunday, something like that.
It's one of those, yeah. And then Mitchell, you have been to EVO before, yes?
Yeah, I went in 2019. That was my first time going, and it was just such a phenomenal experience. I went with a couple of buddies. We all shared a room. It was like I wasn't there as media. It was like that kind of raw experience of getting a group of friends that you all go share a hotel with. You all go to the each other's matches. You cheer each other on. And it was just such a wonderful experience.
Yeah.
On top of, the typical spectator thing of getting to watch a game you love played at the highest level
Mm-hmm.
and being there and getting to feel that energy from the crowd and getting hyped up by the commentators. And yeah, it's such a magical experience. And when I last went in 2019, I was so looking forward to the next year, and then, you know, everything happened. And so I feel like this is a long time coming for me to finally get that, you know, that sequel to my first Evo. And I'm feeling really good about it. Like I'm feeling better about the games that I'm playing this year. And yeah, I can't emphasize enough how excited I am about this.
That was me in 2018. I the only one I've ever been to was 2018, Dragon Ball Fighter Z's first year. That I'll never forget that Sunday. The Cell yell in the arena when Cell would come up, this entire arena would just go electric. It was awesome. I was there with a website that I was writing for, Twin Galaxies at the time.
Yeah.
And we actually were sitting in the booth with Cygames Beast, so Daigo's team. And just to see them walk around, people I had been watching on stream for years, like they were just, you know, regular guys when they weren't competing, was phenomenal. And there's nothing like Evo Sunday in that room. I'm so excited, Kahlief, to hear about what you experienced there. The year I went to was the year that they revealed Negan for Tekken.
Oh yeah.
And I happened to be somehow, and again, this is very much a commentary on the previous Evo regime. Well, some of it. My ticket was for like the floor. Originally was for the floor, but also like 15 or 16 rows back. I got there for the first game. Nothing was filled, so I sat in the front row and nobody moved me until I moved myself. So I watched Xrd from the front row. I watched Tekken 7 from the front row. And when Negan comes on the screen, the people screaming, shouting, like, what is going on? There's nothing like it. I am so excited to A, read your tweets, B, listen to your show after you come back. I'm going to feel that energy again. It's very, very cool. So let's actually talk about that journey, because it has not been a smooth one. In 2020, there was a lot of things revealed just before, if you recall, Evo Online 2020 was supposed to happen. It really caused the seismic shift in Evo that we know now. Think about when we went back in that time, and obviously nobody knew that anything was coming back, let alone something that was so catastrophic as this. Mitchell, what about this I guess redemption story are you looking for when you go out there? What are you trying? What is it that you're looking for as far as like, yes, we're back, but we're not the same?
Honestly, I kind of just want to see the way that they're not the same.
Okay.
You know, it's kind of a big question mark with regards to how involved Sony is going to be in all of this. A lot of unanswered questions in terms of like, you know, how the tournament's going to be run, what's going to happen on Sunday when it's like, you know, the typical announcement fest. Is it going to be like, you know, presented in the same way? Is it going to be more about the actual competition, or is it going to be about the, you know, the marketing side of it? So I'm curious to see how all that's going to be handled. I'm also curious to see what the show floor is going to look like. We know that Street Fighter 6, or I think we're pretty sure, if not positive, that Street Fighter 6 is going to be there.
Yes, it will be.
So yeah, I'm just, you know, going to Evo for the first time in 2019, I kind of got the sense of what it actually looked like. And what it looks like is, you know, it's a very large kind of open space with a bunch of TVs and chairs. And then off to the side is like, you know, there's the merch side of it where, you know, you got a bunch of stands and people selling stuff. So I'm curious how Sony is going to affect that vibe of Evo.
Yes. So yeah, back in 2018, same thing. So you had what I called the fighting game E3 section. So you had booths for SNK and Arc System Works had their own booth and all that stuff. And then you had the giant screens lining the convention center hall with seats in front of them, each one playing a different game, and you could watch whatever you wanted. You didn't have to like crowd yourself around the pools section. You could just sit down and watch whatever was on that particular stream. I kind of hope they leave that format for you guys. Just because it was easy to get around, even though it shouldn't have been. It sounds like it should have been a logistical mess, but they really had that part down. So I'm hoping that part sticks around, and the fact that Rick the Hotto, who used to run Combo Breaker, is now in charge of this. Gives me infinite hope as well. But Kahlief, as a newcomer, you don't have the previous experience. What is it that you want to see when you get out there on that show floor for the first time?
I mean, it's really interesting. I think I have this, dream version of what it was always like, but never having been. You get a chance to see it through the Twitch streams and everything you get a chance to see. Like I'm excited to be in pools and watch people play. And my biggest fear is to not know how to disconnect my controller after I'm done, so I don't mess anything up. Like I'm like actually worried about that. Like I'm like gonna go read a tutorial tonight and be like, how do you do that just so you don't mess it up?
Make sure you bring a cable to connect your controller to the console, because I forgot mine in 2019 and I had to go around asking people.
That'd be me.
One.
Oh no! Me. I'll be grabbing my controller in a cable to make sure I don't botch it. Be, great to have Sonic Fox playing and then just like botch his whole match. but I think it's the energy thing. It's like the energy parts are there. I don't have any previous knowledge or like bad memories or I don't have any baggage to come into this Evo with. But I really am interested to hear and see what the Sony presence is going to bring to this in that way. If that has also leveled up the ability for like what we talked about on the kind of let's show some new stuff layer of it when they do announcements, if that cachet then adds another layer to that to say, oh, because we have this backing, maybe we'll get some heavy hitter knowledge up front in a way that a lot of the gaming and a lot of the FGC folks have been clamoring for. I know especially on the NRS side, everybody's been like, we need some more NRS NetherRealm info about like, are we going to get a new Injustice? Are we going to get MK12? Like what's coming? And I think now is like probably the perfect time to drop bombshells because everybody came back, right? So it'll be really cool to see where it all lands. So
yeah, that actually continues the fighting game E3 comparison where you had all of that marketing stuff. I do think that will come back for one big reason. Sunday has one less game. Back in 2018, for me, I don't know about 2019, I can't remember, but it was 5 games that they had to go through on Sunday. Now it's only 4. So they have more time to fill with announcements from NRS. Street Fighter, Capcom has already said there will be new announcements from Street Fighter 6, so they'll be doing something. I'm assuming it'll be before Street Fighter 5 goes live or goes on for the top 8 on Sunday. Also, too, Kahlief, as a player, right? As an attendee, there's a certain energy, but as a player, there's an energy that I don't even know. What are you anticipating other than forgetting how to disconnect your controller? What is it that you're hoping to feel when you start to when you sit down for that first match?
It's gonna be lose yourself playing in the background every time I touch a controller. It's gonna be palm sweaty mom spaghetti everywhere. As soon as I get up in there and start to play people, because I play at home. I'm playing against the rest of the online scrubs, and I'm doing okay. But it's like I haven't had a one-on-one mano-y-mano competition actually fighting other people in the room thing since arcades.
Wow.
Like it's been forever. You know what I mean? Like I haven't done that because I'm like the only person in my peer group who plays fighting games on a regular basis. Like I'm dabbling all the time. Like there aren't a lot of folks who do that. If they do it, they're like, I don't want to play you because you're at least better than I am in a way that's not going to make me want to play more than a couple of rounds. So that layer of it of not having been in competition in a way. Like, I feel like this is probably going to be a bad thing for me in a lot of different ways. Like, this might be that weird gateway drug into me going across the country and trying to find ways to go compete because I'm a very competitive person. So it's cool to know that energy is going to be in my body somehow, and that's going to be fun.
There's going to be a random news story out of Northern California where Kahlief's going to be in the background yelling, "Where are the arcades? Where did everybody go? What happened?"
Oldest man in Evo. I want that to be the story. I want to be the oldest man in Evo who wins around
the
and
new
get too old.
FGC dad. Now, you're playing one game, right, Kahlief? Just one?
Just one game. I'm just playing Mortal Kombat 11 this year.
Now, Mitchell, you're playing multiple. How do you balance that? Like, how do you train in one and train in the other? And in fact, I was just reading your tweets before we got on here. You're projected to come out of losers in Guilty Gear in your pool?
mean, so is it Smash GG or Start GG?
It's
Like
Start
they have
now, I think,
a little button that you click and it shows like the projected winners. And what it does is that it takes results from other things that you've done. And I've done Evo in 2019. I've done Evo Online in 2021.
Okay. Yep.
And then I've done a couple like Wednesday night fights. So like I have like experience doing those kind of things. So I think that's probably what it takes into consideration, because I think a lot of people, they just create their account and it's their first time doing one of those things.
Yeah, that's true.
So I tweeted that kind of in jest, but yeah, it's I feel like there's now an expectation that I have to live up to. So the pressure is on. So
kind of self-inflicted there too.
I'm signed up for Mortal Kombat, Guilty Gear Strive, and King of Fighters 11. Oof. Or no, sorry, not 11, 15.
It's gonna say 3 games. Wow.
Yeah, and it was a mistake. I'll come right out and say it. Yeah, I was not in a proper headspace when I did it. I have not touched King of Fighters 15 since I reviewed that game. So I'm gonna get decimated in that game. But you know what? It's I admire Kahlief so much for going through it despite not playing Mortal Kombat 11 regularly, despite you shouldn't go into a tournament with like the only expectation is to win. You should go into a tournament with like the expectation of having fun, seeing where your skills at, and just getting that experience under your belt. Too many people, I think one of the big barriers that I think keeps a lot of people from playing fighting games is a fear of failure. They're too worried about losing to the first couple people that they play online, or once they start losing, they're like, all right, I'm never gonna get past this, and they just kind of give it up.
Yep,
and true. Like that's such a it's such a shame, because losing is part of fighting games. It's how you get better. You anything that you do, you're not going to be amazing at right at the start. And you kind of learn in the ways you're lacking in order to improve yourself in those ways. So that's kind of my mindset when it comes to signing up for a lot of games. I just want to get the experience, and if there's like a fluke and I'm matched against someone who's never touched King of Fighters 15 and is also there just to get the experience, then hey, maybe I'll come out of Evo with my 3 games, and I'll do the best in King of Fighters.
That would be interesting, wouldn't it?
Well, what a story to tell.
That's what an underdog story from having not played it since till February till top 8 of KOF 15. Here comes Mitchell. But yeah, exactly. I'm with you on that. I going to Evo in 2018 actually inspired me to join my first local NEC Northeast Championships 2018. I played Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and I actually did win a match. I couldn't believe it. Like I don't know if the guy was just not on his A game, if he was high, like what the problem was, but I got through the first match, and then the next 2 matches I played, they reminded me, they're like, okay, sit down, you've had your fun. Back to the pen and paper, sir. You're here writing, you're not playing. But no, it was an awesome, getting that experience is definitely something you should do if you're interested in fighting games, going to Evo or your local or an online tournament, just to get that experience, figure out what your game is, what your play style is. I highly agree with what you're saying there. This will be a perfect opportunity to take a break. Coming up after the break, we will talk about the games of Evo, the main games, plus one big one right on the outskirts, but I think will have a big impact on the show itself. Stick around. And welcome back to Cheesesteaks and Controllers, episodes 107, the Evo 22 preview panel. I have with me Kahlief Adams from Spawn on Me, Mitchell Saltzman from IGN. I forgot his last name there for a second. And we are talking... You recovered well, it was fine. And we are talking Evo 22. When this episode goes live, it will be day 1 of Evo 2022. These 2 fellas will be playing some of the big games that are there. As we talked about last segment, Mitchell will be playing 3 because he is nuts. Kahlief will be playing 1 because he is scared. I wasn't going to say it, but he said it. He recovered for me. So let's talk about the games. The 9 games that are part of the EVO lineups, from the biggest games in the world to games that are making their debut in the EVO lineup. I want to start with one that seems to not be going away. It's hitting its 10-year anniversary, if it hasn't hit it already. Just a game that continues to persist underneath the radar and be one of the best fighting game experiences there is, and that's Skullgirls Second Encore. I don't know if the two of you are familiar with that. I reviewed it way back when it came out, 2011, 2012, whatever that was, and the game just will not go away. Mitchell, let's start with you. What is it about this game that you think keeps it going? Is it just the community at large? Is it the unique look? What makes this game so appealing?
I think it's a combination of things. I think, the look is definitely a big part of it. There's nothing that quite looks like Skullgirls.
That's true.
It's just got like this utterly like gorgeous 2D art style, and everything is animated so smoothly and wonderfully. And the other bit about it is that it's been getting near constant. I don't know about near constant updates, but it's been getting updates over the course of that 10-year span with new characters, new mechanics, and pretty much everything that you need to keep a fighting game scene alive. And then also just the fact that it's a really good game.
It's true.
Skullgirls is hard, man.
Hard.
I feel like I've tried getting into Skullgirls at multiple times during like my fighting game journey, let's say, from back when I was like just an absolute scrub mashing buttons, to when I started to learn how to string together a combo, to where I am right now. And at every single point of trying to come back into Skullgirls, it just the complexity of the mechanics and just everything involved with it, the characters and how intricate they are. It's just really hard for me to grasp onto. But I respect the hell out of Skullgirls. I think it's a phenomenal game. Sonic Fox's favorite fighting game, by the way.
Yes, it is. In fact, they added him his persona, I believe, in the background of the training stage. Like he's standing in front of is one of the people that stand in front of. That's pretty cool. So yeah, I think this is the one of two that I think benefited most from a lack of Smash Brothers. Would that be fair? You think?
Oh yeah,
probably
yeah.
I think it's definitely this one. It could also be the one I want to talk about next, but I think Skullgirls is probably the biggest benefactor of that. Kahlief, are you familiar? Have you played it recently, or are you kind of like us, where you're like, yeah, we respect it, but we just probably don't watch it?
Yeah, I've played it a bunch when it first dropped, and then just couldn't really stick with it because I think at that point there was like a couple of other. I'm such a big MK fan. I kind of roll in those circles and
sure,
kind of continue to do that. I would be remiss if I did not give the Purple Sharpie some love.
Yep.
Who's a big Skullgirls fan. I love that game. The thing that brought me in was the art and just the animation stuff on that, because I was like, holy crap, what is this? And then I started to play it and I was like, oh, this is a lot.
It lures you in and then it just cuts you down.
It really lures you in and it's like, oh man, this is a lot of stuff. I'm going to have to really dedicate a lot of time to this to really get good. But I'm happy it's still here. Like, saying that it's been out for this long now and is still relevant is such a wild thing, because it is kind of the beautiful thing about the fighting game community is like they will hold on to a game.
They will.
Like, games don't die. Like the whole dead game doesn't really work in the fighting game community that long. If it dies early and it doesn't stick around.
That's true.
But the things that do stick and have legs, then they stick around for a long time. So it's really cool to see that team who built this game also get love to be able to do this kind of stuff for this long. So
yeah, awesome. There was a huge lull between content. I feel like Second Encore actually dropped in like the mid 2010s, and then the next character was last year or the year after. There was some huge, which is really cool that they've been able to bring it back like that. So yeah, I highly agree with you there. Also, the Purple Sharpie, I would love to get her on this show. So I would love to talk about that. I appreciate that. All right, that's awesome. All right, so next game on my list is Melty Blood Type Lumina. I have no idea what's happening here. Anime fighters, for the most part, are way out of my sphere. DNF Duel being an exception. Mitchell, are you familiar at all with Melty Blood?
A little bit. The unfortunate thing about me and Melty Blood is that I absolutely would have wanted to review it, and if I reviewed it, I would have really dove into it,
Sure.
and really tried to get good at it. But that game came out, or we got code for it, like at around a time where I was like I had a trip to go somewhere.
September 2021, I think it was last year.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly what it was. But I wasn't able to review it, and because I wasn't able to review it, I kind of fell off of the train as it left the station, I guess. But conceptually I love it. It's based on Shingetsutan Tsukihime, which is a visual novel and anime series that I really adore. And I love all those Type Moon kind of things. But I unfortunately never really latched onto it.
Yeah. Props for pronouncing that right, because I would not have.
Yeah.
But yeah, another franchise that just would not go away. Actress Again. It was what? How old? Couple years old before they finally got a new game. To see it on the stage could be a good coming out party for it. Honestly, I know I'll try and tune in to see if I can wrap my head around it, and if I can, maybe I'll give it a download. Which is one of the cool things about games like Skullgirls and Melty Blood, that extra exposure, maybe build that community a little bit. All right, now let's talk about it. First big one of the discussion here, it's Mortal Kombat time. Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate coming back to the stage. It was there in 2019 when it first launched, was not originally scheduled to be there in 2020, now making its stage debut. Both of you are playing. You're in the same pool somehow. There is a chance you'll both have to make a run, but there is a chance you two could see each other. So let's start with Kahlief. Who do you main? What is your thought process going in here, and which characters do you not want to see at all?
I mean, I'm a Fujin main.
Okay.
But I don't play. The funny thing is, I'm a Fujin main, but I don't play the variation that everyone plays. I kind of don't like that one. It's kind of I'm one of those players who I will fight the meta with my bare hands. I like, that's the kind of thing that, and it's bad for me because I will try to brute force my way to wins because I hate the conversations around meta. Like and I know it sets me up for a lot of disappointment and a lot of frustration because it winds up making me play in a way where I really do believe that, like, there are a couple of phases of your fighting game career and journey as a person, right?
Sure.
There's the try hard level. There's like the beginning stages when you're first trying to learn whatever new game you're trying to learn. Then you get to a level where you're pretty competent and you kind of understand the systems and how you can work your way through some of that stuff. You then get to a spot where you're like, oh, I'm really competitive, and you want to go into the try hard spot. And then you go into the spot that I'm kind of in now, where is the experiment, fight for the sake of fighting, prove people wrong layer of fighting game tournament. And that is represented in the variation of Fujin that I play. You know, I'm a Raiden fan, so I was always that was the first character that I picked up in MK11. In terms of folks that I don't want to see a Devourer. If I have to fight a Devourer, I'm done.
Oh no!
I'm just
Mitchell
not
picked
a fan
Devourer.
well, because it's like,
it's very rare you're gonna fight a Devourer. First of all, like,
I mean, I'm happy about that, but you also have seen of late, like, because the game has been out for this amount of time, people are starting to play around with characters that they're just like, I've not played around with in a long time. So if you're not seeing those matchups as much, it's a little bit hard to kind of get your bearings and stuff. So it's going to be really interesting to see. My hope is that people jump around a lot. If they jump around a lot, I got you.
So you
If you don't, I'm kind of screwed. So we'll see.
So you'd kick the crap out of me, Mitchell. I'm a jumper. It's so bad. Every fighting game I play, I have to train myself not to jump. Mitchell, who do you main? What characters do you not want to see, and what are you looking forward to in this Mortal Kombat 11 tournament?
So I came back to Mortal Kombat 11 after kind of like having a year off of it.
Okay.
And when I played, I've had three mains pretty much over the years. I did Kitana when I first started. And then I did Nightwolf when he dropped his DLC, and kind of held on to Nightwolf for a while. And then coming back to it, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try using like one of the top tier characters. And so I recently picked up Geras, and really enjoying playing as Geras right now. Characters that I don't want to see. Man, I got bad memories of fighting a really bad Sub-Zero and losing to him when I last went to Evo. You know, the easy 50-50s that people get in Mortal Kombat just drive me crazy. So I don't really want to see a Sub-Zero because it's basically, it turns into a rock paper scissors game.
Yep.
And I hate losing that rock paper scissors when I'm supposed to be playing a fighting game.
And he's been pretty consistent at the top too, Sub-Zero, for a long time, hasn't he?
What was that?
I feel like Sub-Zero has been pretty consistently mid to top tier throughout the life of Ultimate.
Yeah.
Which is a bit of a surprise because in MKX, if I remember correctly, he was not very good. Is that right? Or my memory?
He was pretty good at MKX.
Was he?
Yeah, he had a couple of funky variations that people were like really mad at.
Okay.
And they were like, "Oh, I hate the fact that his ice clone just gets too much recovery and too much armor, all that kind of stuff." So yeah, there was a lot of stuff there too.
Yeah. And then Liu Kang. I'm gonna see a Liu Kang, but Liu Kang's just so good in this game. He's really hard to deal with his stagger pressure and his mix-ups. He's just like kind of all around just such a really, really good character. But yeah, I would say those are. Oh, and Jade. God, I hate Jade. I hate playing against Jade. I never know when I can press a button against her. Her attacks just go on forever.
That's true. I fell out of it a little bit too. I haven't gotten back into it yet, but I remember when I would play consistently online, Jades were my kryptonite. They just, I could not get around Jades. I don't know what they were like. Just like you said, press a button and half my life's gone. Like I just tried to attack. I just tried to interact with the game like I'm supposed to. So I am excited to hear about how you both do in that game. Mortal Kombat 11, especially Kahlief, like I said, because it's the only game you're playing. Moving on now to another one that I am not as familiar with as I would like to be. Played in the beta when that first happened, and then have not touched it since. That's Grand Blue Fantasy Versus. Another anime game. They just passed me by. I don't know why. I respect them. Just not into it. Mitchell, same thing.
This is the game that I'm kind of most surprised to see.
Okay.
Because, Grand Blue, it felt like Grand Blue kind of arrived with like a tiny splash and then was just kind of like forgotten about for a really long time. But it's a cool game. I think, the best way to describe Grand Blue is kind of like as anime Street Fighter. It's very simple in terms of like, combos. It's very footsies kind of driven.
Okay.
It's, there's not too many crazy, dirty things I think people can do in that game, but it's still a game that you have to be fundamentally very good in order to be good at.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, I think that's kind of generally what I would say about Grand Blue. I also haven't played that game again since I reviewed it, and there's been a lot of DLC characters that have been released, so maybe my judgment of it is off now.
That's true. That's
some
fair.
of those characters might be incredibly dirty.
It is amazing how much games change with one character coming into the meta and just breaking everything apart. Kahlief, are you familiar with Grand Blue?
I'm familiar with it. I just haven't played it yet. I'm also I don't play a lot of anime fighters. I think the only one I've really started to dig my teeth into has been DNF.
Yep.
And I'm excited. These are the games I like to watch on the secondary streams because I'm just like, there are huge communities that are like around these games, and they're just like, blow the things up when they kind of seeing it, and like, oh my, I'm like, what are you watching? Because I don't understand what's happening. But it's kind of great to be able to see games like this kind of get their due.
Yeah, like I get into that game and I have no idea how they're doing all these different cancels and crazy moves that they're doing, and I respect it. But I'm like you, I will watch them. I'll watch them all day, but I just can't wrap my head around them. So next up we have King of Fighters 15, another one that Mitchell is getting into. Another game that has had some influx of DLC since its launch back in February. What are you expecting here, Mitchell? Like you said, you haven't played it in a while. Who are you going in with in this tournament? Who do you think you're going with?
I don't even know, man. My team when I was playing it before was Blue Mary up front. What's his name? Oh God, the Akira guy.
Cronin.
Cronin in the middle, and then Terry as my anchor. But yeah, I'm expecting to get thoroughly washed. I am expecting to get washed, squeezed, and wrung out to dry. But I'm gonna do my best anyway.
Let's hope that's not on stream.
Yeah, right. And like that's the thing too. Is like I don't want to get watched on stream.
It's I would say it's very unlikely.
Yeah, no one's gonna see me.
I actually famously in my mind when I played in 2019. I got to be on stream. I think it was only because I was going up against Tasty Steve in Mortal Kombat, so that was like my big Evo moment, getting to play against Tasty Steve on stream.
Did you win?
Love it.
Did I win?
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's go.
I mean, I don't want to brag, but I did beat Tasty Steve on stream in Mortal Kombat 11.
Now I know what I'm watching when this stream's over, when this conversation's over. Excellent stuff. Excellent. Kahlief, have you been playing King of Fighters at all, or are you just excited to watch it like I am? There's too many characters.
Played some when it dropped.
Yeah.
And it's also like a thing that I'm also cognizant of is I like to have sparring partners, and it's if you don't have, like, if a game doesn't have enough cachet in the circles of the friends that I play fighting games with online, and like I'm the one who's like, oh, I got a code for this, oh, I bought this new game, who wants to fight? And everybody's like, yeah, I definitely want to fight. And then when it's time to go play, no one shows up, and I'm like, well, I just bought this game and now I can't fight anybody and get good. That was King of Fighters for me. I was like, everybody was like super hyped. It was like everybody's like, "Oh, King of Fighters looks wild," and then I was like, "All right, I got it. And let's play." And everyone was like, "Nah, I don't want to play that." And I was like, "What?" So I didn't stick with it.
Kahlief, you gotta join my Discord with.
Yes, you do.
Fighting game media people.
Yes,
we
you do.
Got to do it.
I'm very much a lurker in there because I'm afraid of everyone. But but some of the things that I see, man, A, they're knowledgeable, so it's great conversation.
Yeah.
And B, when they do like share highlights and stuff like that, it's a good time. Definitely join that Discord if you get a chance. So I will take a break here. Coming back on the other side, we'll talk about the last 4 games of the Evo lineup, the announcements we're expecting to see, and basically just send off these 2 fine players as they go to play in their Evo matchups. Stick around. All right, welcome back to Cheesesteaks and Controllers, episode 107, final segment of the Evo 22 preview panel with me, Mitchell Saltzman of IGN. Did not forget his last name that time. Kahlief Adams of Spawn on me, and we're moving right along to the next game in the lineup that we have not talked about yet. Dragon Ball Fighters, another one that has seen a bit of a renaissance thanks to 21 Lab Coat just ruining the entire meta and needing to be nerfed beyond all recognition. I was huge into this game when it first came out. I reviewed it. I wrote guides for it. I was all about it. And then somewhere in like season 2, season 3, and you know what it was too? It was watching it at Evo, because back then when it first came out, it was cinematic level 3, the game. It was just, I think that's one of the biggest problems with Dragon Ball FighterZ. It's hard to watch because everyone is, those powerful moves are incorporated so well from their source material. But if you're trying to watch a fighting game, you ain't got time for that. You don't want to, I mean, cinematic supers are cool when they're 5, 6 seconds. And even that's a little long. When we're going through the entire, final scene of Frieza being killed by Goku in a super move, that's a little much. Kahlief, am I off base there, or is that like a big problem?
No, that's the reason why I stopped watching it. Because I was like, next on Dragon Ball, I was like, I don't want to watch that while I'm watching the tournament. It's cool because I love the fact that they have decided to just continue to kind of stay really tight to the source material and do that. But from a visual standpoint and watching it, I'm just like, this thing takes way too long to get through a round. I'm like, man, But it is a game that I picked up and tried to play a little bit of, but it just that's also a game that just didn't stick. Like I feel like the ways that game work, it doesn't really speak to me in the ways that I like my fighting games right now. So it was cool to see, but not a big fan of it.
Yeah, it requires a speed, if you ask me, that I just don't have. A reaction speed or knowing when to trigger that Dragon Rust. It's just not in my wheelhouse. Mitchell, do you enjoy DBFZ, or are you kind of in the same boat as us?
Yeah, I mean, I also kind of went on a journey with Dragon Ball Fighters, and that I reviewed it, really liked it. Actually, I kind of liked it more after I reviewed it because I kind of understood the mechanics more. I remember when I reviewed it, I was kind of salty about the Super Dash and how easy it was just to get in, and how you can 2H it, but you have to have that reaction speed in order to do that, and otherwise people just spam Super Dash all the time. But then I kind of understood how to deal with it, how to get around it, and really enjoyed the game after that. And then I got to a point where I felt like everyone I was playing against, I would get hit once, and then I would just have to sit on my hands because there's I'm gonna be in a combo for the next 30-40 seconds, and all my life is gone. It would just I'm sure there are people who enjoy that style of fighting game. That's not really my speed. If you're gonna hit me with a big combo that is gonna humiliate me and get rid of like 75% of my life, make it quick and painful. make it quick and painful.
Yeah.
No,
it's going to be painful, but make it quick.
Yes, no, I agree 100% with that. If I'm playing a fighting game, I want to play it. I don't want to get exposed once and then, as you said, have time to, make a sandwich while I'm getting the crap beat out of me and that one character is gone. I think that's a major difference between like a Dragon Ball and a Marvel. Marvel has those combos too, but they're so much, at least they feel so much faster. And
I'm not a fan of Marvel either, unfortunately.
No, I always was. That was mine.
Yeah, any game that is super juggle heavy. That's the reason why I'm having a lot of problems right now with DNF Duel.
DNF Duel is the same way.
I'm just like, oh man, like it feels so good when you get into a spot, but when you feel like you have no defensive options, that's not fun.
That's true.
Doesn't feel good.
No, I agree. I do agree with you there. It's probably why nobody played Ultimate Marvel with me in 2011 when that came out. Same boat that you were in with KOF. You bought the game and nobody wanted to play it. Back when Ultimate Marvel 3 came out, I was like, hey, let's do this. And they were like, no, you're just going to pick Phoenix Wright again, you jerk. So and then that was the end of that. But speaking of... go ahead.
I was going to say, one question I want to pose to you about the, about the level 3s taking so much time. How do you guys reconcile that with the fatal blows in Mortal Kombat? Because I feel like those take a really long time. They happen almost every match.
It's interesting. Yeah. Go ahead. I was gonna say, like, it's weird because it feels like those are feast or famine moves. It doesn't feel like it is a main intricate part to the way a normal fight plays itself out. Like, if you get caught with it, you feel really bad because you got caught with it. And it does take a couple of seconds to kind of go through the full animation loop. But it feels like no one is really relying on that to get a win, right? Okay. And the other games were just like, oh, like, if you get hit with that, you're just like, well, I'm in the middle of getting into a fight. I am in this loop for another 30, 40 hits where I have no way to get out of it. Or at least the things that supposedly are supposed to work to get me out still don't work. So I was like, what is happening? So that's where it is with at least DNF Duel for me at this point.
And I think it has to do with game flow as well. Fatal blows, you get one per match, right?
Yeah.
If you hit it.
If you hit it, you get one per match. Dragon Ball FighterZ, level 3 could be an integral part of a character's combo. And you're fighting, and if that one character stays in the match against all 3 of the other teams' characters, you're seeing that same scene every single time they do their meat and potatoes combo. I think that has a lot to do with it too. Because in 2018, as much as I praise the Cell Yell, and I always praise the Cell Yell, on the other side of that coin was Bardock's level 3. I think when Goichi fought Sonic Fox in that final, I saw that damn final level 3 probably 15, 16 times. It got old. And like the people around me were like, man, this is really dragging the whole viewing experience down. We all said future characters needed shorter supers. It didn't happen. And I appreciate that respect for the source material. But as a viewing experience, I'll just go watch Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
Right? Like I'll go watch it. I watched the 291 episodes of Dragon Ball Z. I don't need to watch them here. That's my thing. But speaking of combos that take a lot of life in slightly less time, next game on the docket is Tekken 7.
Tekken. I thought you were going to go into Guilty Gear.
No, that's next. That's next. I'm specifically saving that for last because I know that's your bread and butter. So spoiler: Street Fighter's next. Tekken is a big. It's one of my favorite all-time fighting game franchises. Easily, like Tekken 2 and 3 on the PlayStation got me through some, those years as a kid that we all talk about. Tekken 2 and 3 were there, big games for me. So to see Tekken 7 have this longevity, still be around, I do expect the number 8 to be said this year, but we'll get to that after we talk about the games. When they introduced Leroy, I thought the game was over, though. I really did, because he just broke, again, another character that broke the meta. Mitchell, what now? Do you think it's in a better place now that they've kind of dealt with that and the roster's complete and they maybe are moving on to the next game? Or do you still see a bit of an imbalance that kind of plagued that game throughout its entire run?
I'm gonna be honest, Tekken is a blind spot in my game knowledge. It's another one of those games where I've kind of given it a shot. Just I would get destroyed in that game and not know why.
Okay.
And that's an unfortunate feeling when you're trying to learn a fighting game. It's also, I'm a big fan of 2D fighters, and so like I feel like I'm predisposed to be bad at 3D fighters because blocking low feels like something that you're not supposed to do in 3D fighters, whereas in a 2D fighter you're almost always blocking low. But if you block low in Tekken, you get destroyed by mids. So it's kind of like a weird thing for me to wrap my brain around, and also like the high level movement options are just kind of my fingers just can't do it. So I've just never really gravitated to Tekken in anything beyond just kind of in any kind of level beyond just a casual level.
Yeah. Because I played it so much as a kid, I still have all of King main, by the way, all of his 10 hit combos ingrained in muscle memory. And that's all I do in competition because I'm like, oh, look at me. Every one of these moves is easily parried, but I'm still going to friggin' try it because it's the only thing I know how to do. Yeah, it's
basically One Punch Man. All you need is one. You just got to get one of those 10-hit combos.
A dream of mine is to enter a Tekken 7 tournament, hit a 10-hit combo. I'll unplug the controller and be like, that's it. That's all I wanted. 0-2, I'm out. I did it. Kahlief, you a Tekken guy?
I watch a lot more Tekken than I play Tekken.
Yeah,
and I think that was honestly in the past couple of years when that hype has started to grow a lot around kind of rebuilding that scene. I'm in that same boat too of like 3D fighters are also really funky for me because it's just like I think my movement is right. I think I'm trying to get like footsies in a 3D fighter are just so different. It so just feels so different, and you're thinking more about spinning around your character than you are thinking about the kind of horizontal plane that you're on, and especially with wall splats and all the other stuff when you wind up getting hit in Tekken, you're like, oh, just because I was in the wrong spot maneuvering myself around a player and there happened to be a wall that I can't see that shows up behind me because it's invisible because of the way the camera needs to be in the scene, that stuff is like I love to watch it because the crowd around it is really hype. But when I play it, I have too many things I'm thinking about that don't feel like they're in line with my brain in terms of the way fighting games work because I'm old. So it's like that kind of stuff of being like, oh, that's not the way that works, but it's really cool to see when high level people do it. It's really cool.
Like the physics defying combos where like they tap you with their toe as you're falling on the ground, and then all of a sudden they hit you with a 10 hit again. And I will keep in mind that if we ever play Tekken 7 together, we'll only use the Infinite Azure stage because it has no walls, so you don't have to worry about getting cornered. There's nothing. It's just plain, water and sky, and we could fight to our heart's content. But yeah, I'm excited for this one. This is one of my favorite games to watch live, again because of 2018. Tasty Steve and Rip on the mic in the arena were going absolutely crazy, and that was the year of the little Majin run.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, we were losing our minds. I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. Oh,
such a good year for Tekken.
Such a good second year.
The thing I love about watching Tekken is that like there's such a rhythm to the combos of Tekken, and like it kind of lends itself perfectly to commentary where they're just able to go like, hey, oh yes, and doesn't drop it.
That's Tasty Steve's bread and butter. He knows the combo's coming. He's like, ooh. Oh man, so good.
So good.
I'm smiling the rest of this podcast. Let's go on to that Street Fighter V, the swan song for Street Fighter V before Street Fighter VI supposedly takes the reins in early 2023. Don't have the actual month yet, but they like to release fighting games in February, March. That's where I'm thinking it'll land. If it goes a little later, it might not be at EVO next year. But Street Fighter V, another game, came out really, really not good. A very tumultuous launch. I'll never forget that. I reviewed it. I was one of the higher ones because I tend to focus more on the game that I'm playing than the online part of it, if that makes sense. If the game in front of me is good, I'll forgive some online that's just the way I've always done it. But this one, it never really recovered for like the first season, and then there was a leadership change, and then all of a sudden, with the last season with Akira, with Luke being like the bridge to Street Fighter 6, I think Street Fighter's in better hands than, or as good of hands as it's been since like the 2 and 3 days. I just have a really good feeling about where it is right now. Mitchell, you agree?
Yeah, I think so. I think everyone would agree that Street Fighter V had a rocky start. Not just the online. It was the fact that there wasn't a story mode. There was a very bare bones roster of characters with like maybe 4 new faces.
Yes.
Or there was Fong, there was Nekali,
Rashid.
Were those the only 2 absolutely brand new characters?
Rashid was brand new.
Rashid.
Oh, and then Rashid, there's a 4th one that is eluding me. But no, that was 4. It was Rashid, Nekali, Fong. Who was the 4th one? I will look that up right now while we're talking.
But like in any case, there was a lot that was wrong with Street Fighter V's launch, and also kind of like the weird messaging of like, oh yeah, we're not planning on doing a Super Street Fighter 5. We're not planning on doing an arcade edition, and then they ended up doing like 5 of those. But yeah, I think with every new version of the game, they added new mechanics that kind of culminated in this really good fighting game that Street Fighter V is right now. You could say there's problems with the online. There absolutely are problems with the online, but mechanically, Street Fighter V is a really good game.
Yep.
I have a lot of fun playing it when I have a good connection with someone. And yeah, it's just there's nothing quite like Street Fighter right now, in terms of like that kind of quintessential, footsies based style that Street Fighter gives you with all these other mechanics on top of it. On top of also having, the beloved characters that, everyone kind of gravitates towards.
Laura was the 4th one. That's
Laura.
Right. Yeah. She was the sister of an existing character, but she herself was brand new in this game.
Ironically, the main of the Evo champion, Idom.
yeah, right. Oops. So you both have gone hands-on with 6, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yep. So Kahlief, first of all, I hate you both. Secondly,
it's not that good.
It's really good. Jamie is very much right in my wheelhouse, just right there, based on what I'm watching. Kahlief, so did you get yourself reacclimated with 5, or are you consistently playing 5 before playing 6? Like, what do you see the connective tissue there, or does 6 just seem very brand new?
After getting a chance to play 6, I'm on the mountaintop screaming dead game for 5. I'm like, oh wow, dead game. Dead game after 6. After
You just said that. You just said fighting games can't have dead games.
I don't
like
care.
there can't be
For
dead games.
I'm going back on what I said about 15 minutes ago.
Oh man!
After playing 6, I'm never playing 5 again. I'm so excited to get my hands on 6 because it feels so good, and because it's doing so many interesting things from a style perspective, from a chunky weight perspective. The game feels chunky.
Yeah.
Because when you hit people, it feels like it hurts. Like that stuff has me like I'm very much like I'm appreciative of everything and how far 5 has come.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really good for the fighting game community to still have that game in pocket, but people are gonna dump that thing quick fast when 6 drops. Like I just don't think it's gonna continue to be like it won't be main stage once 6 drops for next Evo. Like it's gonna be gone.
It'll be
gone
in
a corner somewhere and people play it off stream. But like I'm so excited for what this new game is gonna wind up being.
Yeah, it'll be in the play your own game section with the people who don't like change. Just don't want to evolve. I watched every video of 6 from here in Philadelphia. All the folks playing it in LA. I'll watch all the people that are going to play it at Evo, and I'll just sit here twiddling my thumbs, hoping for the day. I'm praying they bring it to New York Comic Con so I can get my hands on it. That would be nice. I will apply for the media badge the next day if they bring it to New York Comic Con. But all right, so last one, haven't talked about it yet. Guilty Gear Strive. I believe the main event this year has the most entrants at like 2,200. Before we talk to Mitchell about it, Kahlief, are you a Guilty Gear guy? Have you dabbled with that one?
I dabbled, but that also was like one of those moments where everybody was like, "You gotta play it," and I was like, "All right, I got it." And I'm playing it with you, and I was like, "I hate you all."
They abandoned you.
I like all my friends. They leave. I'm joining that Discord. I'm doing that.
Yeah, get in there.
People who actually care about my life.
I got some bad news for you. Guilty Gear is our game, and we will probably wash you and you have to dry.
I'll get mopped, and it'll be great.
Yeah. But other fighting games.
Yeah. I'll be in there and hope I don't do too badly. But yeah, I think it's one of those games that I'm like Guilty Gear curious. I want to get back into it. I want to start to kind of like figure out exactly how to really be decent at it, but you need people to kind of help you walk through that. So I'll be back in there. Now that I'm going to join the Discord.
Do you have a character in mind?
No, I when it comes to that game, I'm still like, who feels most like an analog to something else that I've played. That's kind of the way I pick characters at this point. Unless you do something really pretty on stage, you do something really pretty and you're just like, oh, that just looks bad when you do it and you mop people up with it and you're like, oh, you got beat with that.
I have to learn that.
Yeah, I gotta learn that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, I will tell you, Anji has a move called Fujin in Guilty Gear Strive. So maybe it's calling to you.
So Mitchell, who do you play in Guilty?
I play as Giovanna.
Giovanna, the new character to Guilty Gear stuff. What does she add to the experience that maybe previous characters in previous games? What is it about her that you've latched onto?
I think what I love about Giovanna is that she is a rushdown kind of character, which is kind of my play style. I like to get in people's faces and kind of force them to do things that are disadvantageous for them. And there's other rushdown characters too, but what I like about Giovanna is that she's straightforward rushdown.
Okay,
it's very much just get in your face, hit you with a button that keeps me plus, and hope that you press a button when you shouldn't be pressing buttons. So yeah, it's just kind of a play style that I've naturally gravitated towards, and like there hasn't been a character in a fighting game that feels like they've meshed with my playstyle more than as much as Giovanna has. Cammy was probably the closest in Street Fighter V.
Okay.
But I think Giovanna kind of just takes it to another level.
So what are you expecting to see when you get to Evo? There are a lot of characters that have dominated the top tier, or are we sort of even among the cast? Because the cast, relatively speaking, is not very big, right? We're like 20, maybe, something like that? A little more?
I think that's probably about right.
2022.
I think it was 16 characters to start, and then they added 4 for DLC. Gold Lewis, Chaos, Testament, and Biken. I think.
I
think it's like 20.
They had a Jacko too.
Yeah, Jacko too. Maybe 21.
Maybe 21. So who's sitting at the top of the tier list right now?
I think right now there's like a top 3. I think it's basically Ramlethal kind of sitting up there. Leo, White Fang, and I'm not sure if Chaos went down after the last patch, but Chaos is always going to be hard to fight.
Okay.
I think those are kind of like the big problem characters, but I think, in terms of what I'm expecting to see, I'm expecting to see a lot of Souls. Soul is kind of like, the Ryu Ken Scorpion of Guilty Gear. In that, just he's just a good character that is very, very popular.
Yep.
I'm expecting to see a lot of Ramlethal because I think people have gravitated towards her because she's a really cool character in terms of her design. She's easy to use, and she's also at the top of the tier list. And yeah, those are kind of like the 2 that I expect to see the most of. And they're the 2 that I see the most of playing online.
Cool. Well, I expect to see you coming out of pools, sir.
Look,
start.gg says you're going to do it. I'm going to put down a clean 50. It is Vegas after all. So,
oh no,
I'm only kidding. And this is Fox Sports The Gambler, so I kind of have to push that part of it. So one quick thing to get us out of here. Didn't leave enough time to talk about it because we such a great conversation. I didn't want to get in the way of it. The marketing part we talked about earlier, the announcements, the things we're expecting to see. Mitchell, give me something you want to see. Give me something you expect to see.
I mean, they're the same. Okay. Next NetherRealm game.
Okay.
I think there's a reason why Mortal Kombat 11 is on the show, and I think
that's fair.
It's probably tied to NetherRealm wanting to make a big announcement. We know that they're working on something. I don't know if you guys saw this. If you follow like the Mortal Kombat competitive scene, they hired Dragon and another like top competitive player to be QA testers.
Big E
at NetherRealm. What was that?
Big E. I think they snagged Big E.
Yeah. So
really?
Like they're hiring up for something big.
Huh. What in your estimation would that be?
I think it's probably going to be Mortal Kombat 12. I think they might have been working on something before that. But I think WB probably stepped in and was like, hey,
just leave that alone.
You should be working on Mortal Kombat right
now. Kahlief, I assume you're in the same boat. That's what you want. That's what you expect.
Yeah, I'll keep it real quick. I think MK12 is definitely going to hopefully be there. Fingers crossed, because I'm going to mark out super hard. And I also think Multiverses, they'll probably show some new stuff.
That's mine. I am very big into Multiverses at the moment. I think the season 1 starts the next day. Starts August 8th. So I would not be surprised if after that 10K Invitational, the 2v2 Invitational, or whatever it is, that they blow out the entire season 1. Morty from Rick and Morty comes the first day of season 1. Rick Sanchez is already confirmed for later in the season. I imagine we'll get 1 or 2 more characters, whoever they may be. Gandalf from Lord of the Rings is out there in the clouds somewhere. Or they could go with maybe a space theme, like Rick, Morty, maybe somebody. Marvin the Martian is apparently heavily rumored. So there's
Duck Dodgers in the 24th and a half century, maybe?
I would like Duck Dodgers over Daffy Duck, but that's just me. I could go all day about characters I want in Multiverses. Nathan Explosion from Death Clock, top of the list. But, wow, completely derailed me. But yes, so that's mine. Multiverses news. And Street Fighter 6, obviously. I think we're going to get the character that they teased, Kimberly, at the end of the last trailer. Maybe we'll get one of the other ones that was leaked. I personally want to see DJ because that design was fantastic.
I was just thinking that.
That was fantastic.
Perfect for that game.
Perfect for that game. So, yeah, looking forward to more of that. And honestly, I'm just looking forward for Evo coming back. It's been far too long for it not to be back in its true form, to go Dragon Ball on it. And here it is. So with that, we are at the end of episode 107 of the Cheesesteaks and Controllers podcast presented by Fox PHL The Gambler. Just want to say thank you again to Kahlief Adams. Please listen to him on Spawn on Me, at Spawn on Me. You can follow him at Kahlief Adams on all socials, right? And the show at Spawn on Me. And then please follow Mitchell at Jurassic Rabbit. Fantastic name, by the way. What do you have? Anything coming up for IGN fighting game wise, or are you just focused on Evo right now?
I think, I mean, from me, yeah, I don't have anything coming up. I'm actually like, this was a week off for me after Comic-Con. So just kind of taking a week to relax and play some fighting games.
Rest in those feet.
Evo.
Yeah. Rest in those feet.
I think we're actually going to be working on a top 10 fighting game list in the near future. So
cool.
If you're interested in fighting games, maybe check that out.
There it is. And as I say at the end of every show, if you're listening to these words, you got to the end of the episode, and I cannot thank you enough for supporting the show and listening to it. Thank you so much for your time. I hope you were entertained, educated, and I hope you watch Evo. Like I said, this episode is dropping on day one. There are multiple streams you can watch over at evo.gg. Find the one you want to watch. Watch it all weekend long, support them, and let them know that you are happy they are back and you're ready for more fighting games. But before that, hope you have a fantastic weekend. Hope you have an even better week right behind it. And I will talk to you again next week with all of the biggest gaming and esports news, as always, here on Cheesesteaks and Controllers. Goodbye.